It's Friday, which means it's time for FAQ Fridays. I'm Kishore Kapoor, a residential real estate closing attorney here in the state of Connecticut. And I get asked a lot of the same questions from buyers, from sellers, even from real estate agents. So I figured, why not answer them all here? Because I guarantee if one person has a question, there are hundreds of you wondering the same thing, but might be scared to ask. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll be sure to do a future video on it. But today we're talking about money, how to bring it to closing. So the quick and short answer of this is there's really only two ways to bring money to the closing: a wire or a certified cashier's check. That's it. Everything else will get your closing shut down on the spot. So let me explain this a little bit more. Let's explain what a wire is, because I don't know about most people, but before I started practicing law, I had no idea what a wire transfer was. I just heard it on TV and thought it was some fancy thing that they did for a bunch of criminals. But that's not the case. So a wire transfer is a bank-to-bank transfer that's done electronically. It uses the Federal Reserve, so the money goes from your bank to the Federal Reserve to my bank. It's that simple. Um, and it's available to me typically the same day. There are some exceptions where it gets delayed if you send it later in the day. So if you're sending it first thing in the morning, you should be good. The other option is a certified check. It's also called a bank check. This is a check that's issued and guaranteed by your bank, not necessarily you. It's using your money, but it's not coming from you, the guarantee. It's the bank. So I know that the funds are good. This is referred to as, both of these items are considered to be good funds, right? The wire and the cashier's check. And that is because it's verified that the money is there, it's cleared, and it's available to be used. Now, what do you think? Some people might think, well, what if I bring a personal check? Nope. What about a bank business check? Nope. What about Zelle, Venmo, or Cash App? Absolutely not. Can't do anything with it. And if you show up with a bag of cash, you're leaving my office. I cannot do anything with that. Outside of it being a regulatory nightmare, I am not putting a couple $100,000 of cash in my car and driving around town to get to the bank. So that's a no-go. You might be wondering why no for a personal check or a business check. Outside of the obvious that you could write a bad check, you can actually put a stop payment on a personal or bank check after we close, and it gets pulled out of my account, which means then I have to cover your closing, and I'm not doing that. Venmo, Zelle, and Cash App. Unfortunately, at this point, mortgage companies aren't recognizing that. Again, I believe you with at least Venmo and Cash App, you can send money that you don't have. Zelle does not, because it's linked to your bank, but it's still at this point, we're not at that level where we can do a Zelle, Venmo, or Cash App. And then the last one that people ask for is an ACH. I don't know what ACH stands for, sorry, but it is a electronic transfer from banks. We are not set up to do that. Most law firms are not. There's an additional cost for that. And honestly, the wire makes more sense. So we've had clients that have come to closing with personal checks. And unfortunately, my answer is you have to leave, go to the bank and either do a wire or get a certified check. Clients are unhappy about that because it's now a delay in time. Unfortunately, I can't accept it. The biggest, though, concern we get asked is, well, I don't feel comfortable sending a wire. I've never done it before, or we're worried about wire fraud. Well, if you've never done it before, it's fairly easy. You walk into your bank with our wire instructions, you print it out, and you tell them you're sending a wire. If you still don't feel comfortable, as part of our closing process, I do allow people to say, okay, if they're a local bank, I will go with you so you feel comfortable. It's nice and easy. If it's something you like, it's something we do. There's no additional charge for that. But wire fraud is a big issue in today's day and age. And one of the things that's going on with wire fraud is that because real estate transaction has a lot of money transacting, there's a lot of people involved with it. Fraudsters have figured out that if they insert themselves in the conversation, they can get you to be sending them $100,000 without any issues. So if you get an email from us or any of your attorneys that says we've changed the wire instructions, be sure you pick up the phone and call that attorney. right? Even if they don't do that, you should be calling your attorney before you send a wire transfer to make sure everything is legit, because somebody could be sending you an email not knowing it. They've hacked you, hacked the attorney, hacked the real estate agent, and send out an email saying, wire $100,000 to this account. Unfortunately, if you wire to that account, there's not a whole lot we can do, because by the time it gets caught, it might be overseas into somebody else's bank account. So to avoid this, we have software that protects us, that allows us, so my firm does not send out any email wire instructions. We do it through our portal called Qualia. So if you are getting ready to close on a home and you have questions, be sure to drop them in the comments below, or DM me, or give my office a call. I try to read every message we get, answer them as quickly as possible. And if you found this helpful, be sure to share it with a friend who's looking to buy a house, sell a house, invest in real estate, do pretty much anything with real estate. Have them reach out to me. They'll thank you later. And as always, be sure to follow us so you don't become part of one of my stories that I share, and you will. And always, be sure to follow us so you don't become one of these stories. Because every day I share real life situations from real closings, so you know exactly what to watch out for, and so you can have a smooth and stress-free closing. Be sure to follow us so you don't end up in one of our stories where we should. Be sure to follow us so you can. Be sure to follow us so you. Be sure to follow us so you don't end up in one of these stories, and you know exactly what to expect during the closing process. Because every day I share real life stories from real closings, so you know exactly what to expect, and so you can have a smooth and stress-free closing.